Restart recording. Yeah, welcome, Joe. Great to have you on our group.
Thank
Looks
you.
like you know a couple of the people here already.
Marilyn and Pam. Yes, we're all from Tallahassee, actually. So
Wonderful. Well, it's so great to have you here. My middle name is Joe, J-O, spelled just
I
like that.
noticed that. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. All right, we are on chapter 2, section 8. So what we do is I will read this section and then we'll pause and discuss if anyone wants to talk about whatever is coming up for them or has anything to share. We will do that. We've been on for the last half an hour, just kind of chit-chatting. That's what we do from 12 to 12:30, catching up, saying hello, and just having just conversation, whatever comes up. So that's what we've been doing here. I'm going to share my screen and I will go ahead and read from A Course in Miracles, Chapter 2, Section 8, The Meaning of the Last Judgment. One of the ways in which you can correct the magic miracle confusion is to remember that you did not create yourself. You're apt to forget this when you become egocentric, and this puts you in a position where a belief in magic is virtually inevitable. Your will to create was given you by your creator, who was expressing the same will in his creation. Since creative ability rests in the mind, everything you create is necessarily a matter of will. It also follows that whatever you alone make is real in your own sight, though not in the mind of God. The basic distinction leads directly into the real meaning of the Last Judgment. The Last Judgment is one of the most threatening ideas in your thinking. This is because you do not understand it. Judgment is not an attribute of God. It was brought into being only after the separation, when it became one of the many learning devices to be built into the overall plan. Just as the separation occurred over millions of years, the Last Judgment will extend over a similarly long period, and perhaps an even longer one. Its length can, however, be greatly shortened by miracles, the device for shortening, but not abolishing time. If a sufficient number become truly miracle minded, this shortening process can be virtually immeasurable. It is essential, however, that you free yourself from fear quickly because you must emerge from the conflict if you are to bring peace to other minds. The Last Judgment is generally thought of as a procedure undertaken by God. Actually, it will be undertaken by my brothers with my help. It is a final healing rather than a meting out of punishment, however much you may think that punishment is deserved. Punishment is a concept totally opposed to right-mindedness, and the aim of the Last Judgment is to restore right-mindedness to you. The Last Judgment might be called a process of right evaluation. It simply means that everyone will finally come to understand what is worthy and what is not. After this, the ability to choose can be directed rationally. Until this distinction is made, however, the vacillations between free and imprisoned will cannot but continue. The first step toward freedom involves a sorting out of the false from the true. This is a process of separation in the constructive sense and reflects the true meaning of the apocalypse. Everyone will ultimately look upon his own creations and choose to preserve only what is good, just as God himself looked upon what he had created and knew that it was good. At this point, the mind can begin to look with love on its own creations because of their worthiness. At the same time, the mind will inevitably disown its miscreations, which, without belief, will no longer exist. The term Last Judgment is frightening, not only because it has been projected onto God, but also because of the association of last with death. This is an outstanding example of upside down perception. If the meaning of the Last Judgment is objectively examined, it is quite apparent that is really the doorway to life. No one who lives in fear is really alive. Your own last judgment cannot be directed toward yourself because you are not your own creation. You can, however, apply it meaningfully and at any time to everything you have made and retain in your memory only what is creative and good. This is what your right mindedness cannot but dictate. The purpose of time is solely to give you time to achieve this judgment. It is your own perfect judgment of your own perfect creations. When everything you retain is lovable, there is no reason for fear to remain with you. This is your part in the at one mint. Okay. Yay, Alicia made it. Hi, Cynthia. Great to have you guys here.
Yes, thank you
Uh,
for resending that link. I don't know what the glitch was.
yeah, I've got to take a look. I was talking about this earlier with technology. I think with all the upgrades, something happened to my email automation that I send out every week. And some people are getting it, some people aren't getting it. So I think I have to just kind of recreate it somehow. I'll figure it out. But it's great to have all of you here and some new faces, which is wonderful. And I just want to also caveat that I do read the word atonement as at one mint only because it has a deeper meaning for me, a more truer meaning when I read it like that. So I do realize it's pronounced atonement.
It
Um,
is, huh?
I think so. I
It
don't know.
is.
According to the dictionary, right?
Okay. Okay. Well, the dictionary is changing all the time, so.
That's also true. All right. Does anyone have anything they want to talk about with regard to the last judgment? We just finished the last section of chapter 2.
So they say you're righting wrongs instead of punishment.
Yeah, I think it's bringing everything into love, right? When everything you retain is lovable, there's no reason for fear to remain with you. And I think that's the goal, right? So all your ideas about all your relationships, about everything in the world, when that becomes only love, then that's the last judgment. Which makes sense that it has to happen with your brothers, right? Because that's the only thing we have a tendency to judge, right? Ourselves and our brothers. So when we can relinquish all judgment and just see each other as perfect and loving and lovable, then that's the last judgment.
I've been thinking about that exact idea, and it's somewhere on the course. And when you do, and when we do give up that judgment, we will think that it is death, but it is life. Somewhere it says that in the course. We'll think that it's death. And I know exactly what that means. Like it to give up a grievance. Like we'll think we give up part of us that is real that we want to hold on to. We'll think it's death of who we are, but it's life, and it's only in letting it go and then realizing what life really feels like compared to ego identification life. It's very different. There's no peace
Yeah.
in that ego identification life. It's not it's not death, and here we still are. Or-
Yes.
yeah.
I just got truth bumps when you were saying that, Pam, just all up and down my arms.
It's the
I,
first sentence in the last paragraph there, number 5. The first sentence mentions that line.
mm-hmm. It reminds me of when I went through that really dark night of my soul after my third marriage when I was just like, what in the world? Like, there is no happiness out there. Like, I've been looking for it and looking for it and looking for it. And I was so upset about it and mad, like pissed at God or whatever. I was like, whatever this thing is, because I had been doing A Course in Miracles probably for close to 15 years at that point. So I knew hypothetically that this was all an illusion. But I still thought there was supposed to be some kind of happily ever after. And I was looking for it out there still. And as soon as that relationship was over and I realized it really wasn't ever going to be out there, I was mad. I was like, I don't want this. I don't want this life. I don't want this. This is too hard. It's painful. And these relationships are terrible and everybody pretends to be a nice person and they're just awful. I was just really feeling sorry for myself. I was so mad. And I just got myself into a really deep, deep, deep dark hole. And then depression came in, like, oh, you know, the chains and the heaviness and all of it. And because I lost faith in all of it, which was an important step for me because it was like a death, right? I was dying to the illusion. I was losing faith in all of it, which I thought meant I lost faith in life because it really felt like I was dying. I felt like viscerally like I was dying. I got sick, I got heavy, I got depressed, I couldn't get out of bed. And then my heart started hurting like I was having a heart attack. And I remember calling a friend and I was like, you need to check on my kids. If I don't call you by tomorrow morning, you need to come and check on my kids because I think something's really, really wrong with me. And it was at that moment that he picked up a guitar and sang me a song. And he reminded me of the light in me because I was like, there's nothing here. There's nothing in this life. There's nothing in this world. I don't want any of it. And he was like, no, no, there's something in you. There's something in you that you have to share with the world and the world needs it. And all of a sudden it was like this little ember that I noticed inside of my heart. And I was like, what is that? And everything was dark around me. Everything in my mind, in my body felt heavy, except this little glow inside of me. And I just focused on it. And the more I focused on it, the brighter it got a little bit. It wasn't just like this beaming thing. It was a tiny little ember, but it was the only thing that caught my attention at the time. And that is what I started nurturing, just gladdening that heart inside of myself. And step by step by step, I got out of that depression. But the beauty of that is I never looked out here for my happiness again, ever. This was now just truly part of the illusion. And all of my happiness came from here, right? The connection. And it became something I wanted to nurture and then share. No expectation of anything ever being returned because I knew that wasn't where my happiness was. So when they talk about that death, that's how I can recall the death of the ego. And sure, do I still have the ego? Yeah, it still reminds me. I still get my little like, okay. But then I'm reminded, wait, something went wrong. I need to align with love. That's part of the ego. So it's easier now.
Yeah.
And it also gave you something to affirm and focus on. You saw that little glimmer and you fanned it and you fed it and you focused on it. And so it had the opportunity to grow and then be that light that then shines through you.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Mary. That's so true.
You made the choice in that death, shall we say, to find that which was more important. That was the transformation.
Yeah, to find the truth, right? Only love is real.
Well, and that whole thing about looking for that thing outside of ourselves, it's a slippery slope because sometimes it's projected onto you. Like I've had somebody lately tell me, I hate people. I really hate people. They're no good. Anyway, and that person, I was just like, okay, I don't know what to say to this guy, right? Then I had somebody else kind of tell me similarly, but in the sense that, oh, I'm tired of relying on other people and stuff. And then they got really close to me, and they were telling me, I'm here because you actually were the one who got me here. And I was like, no, I don't think so. You're here because you wanted to come here. I told you about it, but you wanted to come here. And I could not make that person believe otherwise. But I said, okay, I'll give up. I'll just live it. I'll live it. They said, how am I going to live this? Because it's easier then to just give in. And I was feeling like I would be taking advantage of this person. I didn't know how to reconcile myself, and I just sat back and said, you know what? Just don't do nothing, dude. Just go with it, and stick to your guns. No, it wasn't me that got you here. You got here by yourself.
Yeah.
Stick to that.
Yeah. And that's the other part of it too, is to understand that everyone has their own path.
Yeah.
And it's okay. You don't need to change their mind about anything. You just need to love them and see the Christ in them. That's it.
Yeah. Just show them that unconditional caring, I guess is the way I call it.
Yeah. Let them believe whatever it is they want to believe.
Yeah. Just don't feed it. And don't believe it, actually.
Anybody else have anything they want to share about what we just read? We just finished chapter 2. The meaning of the last judgment. I thought it was interesting too that when it did mention something about when there is a number of people, did it say people or individuals, that almost like the 100th monkey's theory, which I thought many times in the course it does not say that. It says it just takes one mind. So that I thought was interesting. That kind of jumped out at me. I don't know if anybody else caught that.
It says everyone.
Is that what it said?
Yes.
Well, that makes sense because we are everyone in essence, right? In paragraph 2, it says, if a sufficient number become truly miracle-minded, the shortening process can be virtually immeasurable. I was like, oh,
Wow.
Then in paragraph 3, sentence 6, it says it simply means that everyone will finally come to understand what is worthy and what is not.
Yes. Yes.
It stood out to me because of the word finally, because finally and time are something that I'm grappling with.
Right. Exactly. Right. Yeah. I'm with you. I know there's a little bit of contradiction here and there, I feel, but that's okay. It even says, I think somewhere that the course, and maybe it wasn't in the course, maybe it was actually, oh gosh, what's his name? The guy who used to be in Roscoe.
Webinar, something like that.
Wapnick.
Wapnick.
Yeah, Ken Wapnick. I think Ken Wapnick talks a lot about this, so sometimes I can hear his voice. All right, shall we go on to chapter 3? Does anybody else have anything they want to talk about before we continue? Okay.
I just thought it was interesting when Ernesto said, we don't have to believe it, when he was talking about other people.
Mm-hmm.
And, when we're not looking out there for knowing who we are, then it's not a matter of what they say makes us lesser, or we feel like we have to agree with them in order to have a conversation or whatever. we have the freedom then to allow them to be them and have what might be a totally different path to ours.
Yes.
And we can have a conversation and offer our opinion. They can offer their opinion, but we don't have any of the angst and the upset and the need to fix them or the need to feel like we need to be fixed. All that stuff is just kind of in its natural setting because we're not, so reluctant or attached, depending on how we feel about it, to the outside. We just know who we are and we're stable in that. So then it's okay that someone has a totally different path. That's their path.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't an argument. I think it was just an acknowledgement, because in the end, there was no way that I could convince this person that it was themselves that had come here, okay, to this place that they were telling me it was my doing. There was no way that I could convince them of that, so I accepted what they were saying, but I acknowledged that, don't believe that, but that's okay. If you want to believe it, but I don't.
Yeah. Even believe is a judgment, right?
Right. I mean, I don't know. So it gets so convoluted, let me tell you.
All right, let's go into chapter 3, and I'm sure, as it always does, some of this will be illuminated once again for us. Chapter 3, the innocent perception at 1 mint without sacrifice. A further point must be perfectly clear before any residual fear, still associated with miracles, can disappear. The crucifixion did not establish the at-one-ment. The resurrection did. Many sincere Christians have misunderstood this. No one who is free of the belief in scarcity could possibly make this mistake. If the crucifixion is seen from an upside-down point of view, it does appear as if God permitted and even encouraged one of his sons to suffer because he was good. This particularly unfortunate interpretation, which arose out of projection, has led many people to be bitterly afraid of God. Such anti-religious concepts enter into many religions. Yet the real Christian should pause and ask, how could this be? Is it likely that God himself would be capable of the kind of thinking which his own words have clearly stated is unworthy of his Son? The best defense, as always, is not to attack another's position, but rather to protect the truth. It is unwise to accept any concept if you have to invert a whole frame of reference in order to justify it. This procedure is painful in its minor applications and genuinely tragic on a wider scale. Persecution frequently results in an attempt to justify the terrible misperception that God himself persecuted his own Son on behalf of salvation. The very words are meaningless. It has been particularly difficult to overcome this because although the error itself is no harder to correct than any other, many have been unwilling to give it up in view of its prominent value as a defense. In milder forms, a parent says, "This hurts me more than it hurts you," and feels exonerated in beating a child. Can you believe our Father really thinks this way? It is so essential that all such thinking be dispelled that we must be sure that nothing of this kind remains in your mind. I was not punished because you were bad. The holy benign lesson the at-one-ment teaches is lost if it is tainted with this kind of distortion in any form. The statement, Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, is a misperception by which one assigns his own evil past to God. The evil past has nothing to do with God. He did not create it, and he does not maintain it. God does not believe in retribution. His mind does not create that way. He does not hold your evil deeds against you. Is it likely that he would hold them against me? Be very sure that you recognize how utterly impossible this assumption is, and how entirely it arises from projection. This kind of error is responsible for a host of related errors, including the belief that God rejected Adam and forced him out of the Garden of Eden. It is also why you may believe from time to time that I am misdirecting you. I have made every effort to use the words that are almost impossible to distort, but it is always possible to twist symbols around if you wish. Sacrifice is a notion totally unknown to God. It arises solely from fear, and frightened people can be vicious. Sacrificing in any way is a violation of my injunction that you should be merciful, even as your Father in heaven is merciful. It has been hard for many Christians to realize that this applies to themselves. Good teachers never terrorize their students. To terrorize is to attack, and this results in rejection of what the teacher offers.
Mhm.
The result is learning failure. I have been correctly referred to as the Lamb of God who taketh away the sins of the world. But those who represent the Lamb as blood-stained do not understand the meaning of the symbol. Correctly understood, it is a very simple symbol that speaks of my innocence. The lion and the lamb lying down together symbolize that strength and innocence are not in conflict, but naturally live in peace. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God, is another way of saying the same thing. A pure mind knows the truth, that this is its strength. It does not confuse destruction with innocence because it associates innocence with strength, not with weakness. Innocence is incapable of sacrificing anything because the innocent mind has everything and strives only to protect its wholeness. It cannot project. It can only honor other minds because honor is the natural greeting of the truly loved to others who are like them. The Lamb taketh away the sins of the world in the sense that the state of innocence or grace is one in which the meaning of the at-one-ment is perfectly apparent. The at-one-ment is entirely unambiguous. It is perfectly clear because it exists in light. Only the attempts to shroud it in darkness have made it inaccessible to those who do not choose to see. The at-one-ment itself radiates nothing but truth. It therefore epitomizes harmlessness and sheds only blessing. It could not do this if it arose from anything but perfect innocence. Innocence is wisdom because it is unaware of evil, and evil does not exist. It is, however, perfectly aware of everything that is true. The resurrection demonstrated that nothing can destroy truth. Good can withstand any form of evil, as light abolishes forms of darkness. The at-one-ment is therefore the perfect lesson. It is the final demonstration that all the other lessons I taught are true. If you can accept this one generalization now, there will be no need to learn from many smaller lessons. You are released from all errors if you believe this. The innocence of God is the true state of the mind of his Son. In this state, your mind knows God, for God is not symbolic. He is fact. knowing his son as he is, you realize that the at-one-ment, not sacrifice, is the only appropriate gift for God's altar, where nothing except perfection belongs. The understanding of the innocent is truth. That is why their altars are truly radiant. Mm.
And I feel like I've never read this part of this book.
And how long have you been doing this, Ernesto?
Well, I started with you, so I don't
Yeah.
know. That was back in. I do this according to my son's age. Let's see if I can figure this out. So he was 8, 9, so he's 32. So do the math. 20 some almost, well, 30 years plus, looks like.
Wow.
Or
Yeah.
20 some, no, he's 20 something.
Okay.
I'm
There
math
you
in
go.
my head.
There
But you
you
know,
go.
reading the part about the lamb and the lion, my friend sent me a picture of the dog and the cat. And the cat is the dog is laying down, calm, almost sleeping, I think it looks like. And the cat is on top of his back, breading, you know how they do the bread thing?
Doing the
I mean,
kneading.
they
Yeah.
both look like they're just in ecstasy, you know? It's a beautiful picture. I was like, okay.
That's great. He's getting a little massage.
Yeah, right. He's getting his the dog is just they're both.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Anyone have anything else that's coming up for them around this section?
It really describes well. I think it gives a really good description of what's happened with the whole Christianity thing. And it made me think of a phrase that is often used by Christians. I'm a God-fearing Christian. I found that a little bit weird. I mean, not weird, but rather, it really denotes, it really shows how upside down the thinking is in this what's happened to Christianity. You know, I mean, how could you fear God, right? Is God a person to be feared? I don't think so.
Yeah, I think also, there's a lot of other things at play in religion, going back in time, the need to control the masses through fear and all of that. And,
Yeah.
um, without blaming or projecting or pointing, just observing and just choosing to align with the truth. I feel so fortunate to be experiencing this illusion within this illusion of time where we have the freedom to actually have these discussions,
Mhm.
which is great. So much has changed, especially for women, and our ability to actually have opinions and voices that can be shared and heard within this illusion. Remembering that it's still part of the illusion, right?
Yeah,
Something
so
that
far.
has
So far.
something that has always helped me in this first paragraph, sentence 2, the crucifixion did not establish the atonement, the resurrection did.
Mm,
That's that's what I like to focus on. Somewhere else in the book it says he took the last useless trip to the cross. We don't have to suffer, but and maybe he felt some sensations, but he was not identified with that body that was being killed. um that's why he could forgive. They don't know what they're doing. They think they're killing this body. I'm not this body. I'm as God created me, and proved it
hmm
through the resurrection.
Yeah, yeah. I get so excited when I align with the truth of our eternal oneness. And lately I've been doing some interesting things before I go to sleep. And with regard to aligning my mind with the Holy Spirit, and also asking for a guide to lead me through the collective consciousness, which is just something I've been exploring lately. With just being expansive and being excited about the expansion and the at one minute and all of it, right? Being part of the higher vibration of love. And I know I've shared some of this with you when my brother has come to visit me in my dreams, and he recently came to see me a few nights ago, and oh my gosh, it was the most incredible dream. And he always pops into my dreams. Like I'm having this other dream having nothing to do with my brother. I think I was chasing someone down the street. I was not chasing them in a bad way, but we were running. It was raining. My dreams are very vivid in Technicolor and all the things. And all of a sudden we're getting out of the rain and we come up to this house and there's my brother sitting on the stairs. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in so long." And I always get so excited when I see my brother in dreams. He passed when he was 38. And I gave him a big hug, and of course, we were sobbing happy tears, and he always gave me the best hugs. And I could feel his hug and his love, and I was so excited to see him. And my eyes were closed, and I was hugging him. But before I had closed my eyes, I could see him perfectly. He had this beautiful satin blue shirt on and long sleeves, and he had these green satin overalls but it was fitted like a suit. Like what a weird thing to think of in my head, right? But I don't know. This is how he came to me. This blue, dark blue satin, beautiful collared shirt buttoned up all the way to the top, and these dark green, forest green satin overalls with gold clasp, but very form fitted. And he had a gorgeous body, my brother, beautiful human form. And I was hugging him and just like, "Oh my God, it's so good to see you." And I opened my eyes and he was gone. And I was like, "Oh, that was such a short visit. I wish it could have been longer." And he said, "I'm still here." He said, "Close your eyes and feel my legs." And I closed my eyes and I put my hands where his thighs were on the stair. And I'm like, "Yes, I can feel you." And he said, "I'm still here. You just have to match my energetic frequency. You have to match the frequency I am vibrating at." He goes, "I am always here. The fact that you don't see me is just because you're not matching my frequency, but I am always here. I'll always be here on this stair." He said, "Or I'll be on that other stair on the other side of your house," which just so happened to be, according to my bed, where he was pointing where my actual stairs are. So he said to me, "Okay, now open your eyes." And I tried to go, I can't open my eyes, but I could tell there were tears coming out of my eyes. He goes, "Okay, I'll help you." And I could feel his hands on my face. He goes, "Now open your eyes slowly. I'm right here. Look at me." And I tried. They were like, felt like they were glued. And finally I like opened my eyes and there he was again. He was back in my dream. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're back." And I was so excited he was back. He goes, "All you have to do is match my energetic frequency and you can see me anytime you want, whether you're in this dream or the other dream. Just match my energetic frequency. I'm always with you." And that was it. And I woke up and I'm like, "Oh, he's teaching me how to manifest within the dream," right? And I was so excited. So I told my husband about it after I woke up. And I went over to my staircase and I looked at it and I was rushed. I didn't have time to actually do it, but I wanted to because I could feel like my vibration was resonating in that place of love. And I was looking at the stairs and looking at the stairs and I'm like, I was trying to envision his body. I was trying to see him there. And all of a sudden my cat comes over. She looks. She's looking at the stair and she starts going slowly up to where I was looking. And she's looking around. I'm like, "Oh, she sees him." And then I had to go. I was busy, but I was like so excited, right, about all of this because we are eternal beings, right? And these meat suits or whatever you want to call them within this illusion is just part of this experience that we're having, right? And the whole purpose is communication, right? Course in Miracles tells us Your body's whole purpose is a means of communication. Yeah. So
I love that. Can't
just
wait to go to sleep.
I know, right? Because the mind doesn't ever end, doesn't shut off. You might as well give it something to do at night while you're sleeping, while your body is repairing within
Right.
the illusion, right? Give it something fun to do. Give it something fun to experience.
Mm,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's great.
You reminded me of my dreams because I dream
Mm,
with a lot of my dead relatives and people that have passed away in my life.
yeah.
Also, yep.
Mm.
And some of the dreams I've been having lately is, well, when I was young, I used to be afraid of it, but as I've gotten older, it's more like, oh, good, I get to be hang out with them again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
And
feeling.
it's just being conscious, right?
Yep.
Of connecting with that collective consciousness, that one mind of God,
Yeah.
that one mind of love that we all share. Yeah. It's
Hmm.
amazing. All right. Any other comments since I took up most of that one?
That's okay. It's very, very rewarding.
Oh, so exciting. All right, let's keep going then. All right. Miracles as true perception. I've stated that the basic concepts referred to in this course are not matters of degree. Certain fundamental concepts cannot be understood in terms of opposites. It is impossible to conceive of light and darkness, or everything and nothing as joint possibilities. They are all true or all false. It is essential that you realize your thinking will be erratic until a firm commitment to one or the other is made. A firm commitment to darkness or nothingness, however, is impossible. No one has ever lived who has not experienced some light and some thing. No one, therefore, is able to deny truth totally, even if he thinks he can. Innocence is not a partial attribute. It is not real until it is total. The partly innocent are apt to be quite foolish at times. It is not until their innocence becomes a viewpoint with universal application that it becomes wisdom. Innocent or true perception means that you never misperceive and always see truly. More simply, it means that you never see what does not exist and always see what does. When you lack confidence in what someone will do, you're attesting to your belief that he is not in his right mind. This is hardly a miracle-based frame of reference. It also has the disastrous effect of denying the power of the miracle. The miracle perceives everything as it is. If nothing but the truth exists, right-minded seeing cannot see anything but perfection. I have said that only what God creates or what you create with the same will has any real existence. This, then, is all the innocent can see. They do not suffer from distorted perception. You are afraid of God's will because you have used your own mind, which He created, and the likeness of His own, to miscreate. The mind can miscreate only when it believes it is not free. An imprisoned mind is not free because it is possessed or held back by itself. It is therefore limited, and the will is not free to assert itself. To be one is to be of one mind or will. When the will of the Sonship and the Father are one, their perfect accord is heaven. Nothing can prevail against a Son of God who commends his spirit into the hands of his Father. By doing this, the mind awakens from its sleep and remembers its Creator. All sense of separation disappears. The Son of God is part of the Holy Trinity, but the Trinity itself is one. There is no confusion within its levels because they are of one mind and one will. This single purpose creates perfect integration and establishes the peace of God. Yet this vision can be perceived only by the truly innocent. Because their hearts are pure, the innocent defend true perception instead of defending themselves against it. Understanding the lesson of the at-one-ment, they are without the wish to attack, and therefore they see truly. This is what the Bible means when it says, when he shall appear or be perceived, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. The way to correct distortions is to withdraw your faith in them and invest it only in what is true. You cannot make untruth true. If you are willing to accept what is true in everything you perceive, you let it be true for you. Truth overcomes all error, and those who live in error and emptiness can never find lasting solace. If you perceive truly, you are canceling out misperceptions in yourself and in others simultaneously. Because you see them as they are, you offer them your acceptance of their truth so they can accept it for themselves. This is the healing that the miracle induces. That is beautiful. Anything come up for anyone in reading this? I love the last paragraph of this. If you perceive truly, you are canceling out misperceptions in yourself and in others simultaneously. Because you see them as they are, you offer them your acceptance of their truth so they can accept it for themselves. This is the healing that the miracle induces, right? Seeing others as they are.
But I think I also understood in here that when you are living in the truth, that's where the miracles are.
Right.
I think it said that somewhere in here. Can't remember where it was.
Mm-hmm.
So what does there, Ernesto, do you mean living in the truth? I think I can only refer to sentence 5 in the last paragraph. If you perceive truly as living in the truth.
Right.
Right.
Maybe that's what I understood from it. That was. I'm trying to read through it again. I know it's just that's perhaps where it is. Yes, I mean that's what I got from it as well. Because it referred me to the incident of where somebody was saying that I was the one that got them there, when I really believed that they got themselves there. Because that's what I kind of believe now. We don't do anything that we don't really want, and to say that somebody else is doing that for us, we're not living the truth. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, but in truth, we don't need to feel guilty about that or feel like we need to change the other person's mind because that's
Right.
part of their path.
Yes, absolutely. Right.
Right.
I didn't beat up on that idea at all.
Right.
Yeah, no, I recognize that. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There was no way that I could ever convince this person otherwise. Right. They have to see it for themselves. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And all paths lead to God. So we don't even have to worry about it. I love most of the time when I have confusions about things like that, that I'm like, that are going over and over in my mind, and I give it to the Holy Spirit. I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. The answer always comes back, you need do nothing. And I'm like, oh, good.
Yep.
That feels better. I don't even have to think about it anymore. That's great.
Yeah,
Took a load off my shoulders.
that is exactly. So don't give it any more thought, dude. You know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Shall we get one more reading in, or do you want to just chat for the last 8 minutes? What do you guys think? Take a vote. This isn't a real talkative crew today.
Right. I was gonna say, but I've been to some groups that people don't shut up, you know.
I know, right? Okay, we'll get one more reading in. We'll do. All right. Perception versus knowledge. We have been emphasizing perception and have said very little about knowledge as yet. This is because perception must be straightened out before you can know anything. To know is to be certain. Uncertainty means that you do not know. Knowledge is power because it is certain, and certainty is strength. Perception is temporary. As an attribute of the belief in space and time, it is subject to either fear or love. Misperceptions produce fear, and true perceptions foster love, but neither brings certainty, because all perception varies. That is why it is not knowledge. True perception is the basis for knowledge, but knowing is the affirmation of truth and beyond all perceptions. All your difficulties stem from the fact that you do not recognize yourself, your brother, or God. To recognize means to know again, implying that you knew before. You can see in many ways because perception involves interpretation, and this means that it is not whole or consistent. The miracle, being a way of perceiving, is not knowledge. It is the right answer to a question, but you do not question when you know. Questioning illusions is the first step in undoing them. The miracle, or the right answer, corrects them. Since perceptions change, their dependence on time is obvious. How you perceive at any given time determines what you do, and actions must occur in time. Knowledge is timeless because certainty is not questionable. You know when you have ceased to ask questions. The questioning mind perceives itself in time and therefore looks for future answers. The closed mind believes the future and the present will be the same. This establishes a seemingly stable state that is usually an attempt to counteract an underlying fear that the future will be worse than the present. This fear inhibits the tendency to question at all. True vision is the natural perception of spiritual sight, but it is still a correction rather than a fact. Spiritual sight is symbolic and therefore not a device for knowing. It is, however, a means of right perception, which brings it into the proper domain of the miracle. A vision of God would be a miracle rather than a revelation. The fact that perception is involved at all removes the experience from the realm of knowledge. That is why visions, however holy, do not last. The Bible tells you to know yourself or to be certain. Certainty is always of God. When you love someone, you have perceived him as he is, and this makes it possible for you to know him. Until you first perceive him as he is, you cannot know him. While you ask questions about him, you are clearly implying that you do not know God. Certainty does not require action. When you say you are acting on the basis of knowledge, you're really confusing knowledge with perception. Knowledge provides the strength for creative thinking, but not for right doing. Perception, miracles, and doing are closely related. Knowledge is the result of revelation and induces only thought. Even in its most spiritualized form, perception involves the body. Knowledge comes from the altar within and is timeless because it is certain. To perceive the truth is not the same as to know it. Right perception is necessary before God can communicate directly to his altars, which he established in his sons. There he can communicate his certainty, and his knowledge will bring peace without question. God is not a stranger to his sons, and his sons are not strangers to each other. Knowledge preceded both perception and time, and will ultimately replace them. That is the real meaning of Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. Before Abraham was, I am. Perception can and must be stabilized, but knowledge is stable. Fear God and keep his commandments becomes know God and accept his certainty. If you attack error in another, you will hurt yourself. You cannot know your brother when you attack him. Attack is always made upon a stranger. You are making him a stranger by misperceiving him, and so you cannot know him. It is because you have made him a stranger that you are afraid of him. Perceive him correctly so that you can know him. There are no strangers in God's creation. To create as he created you can create only what you know. Let me reread that. To create as he created, you can create only what you know, and therefore accept as yours. God knows his children with perfect certainty. He created them by knowing them. He recognizes them perfectly. When they do not recognize each other, they do not recognize him. Here we go. Back to gotta love your brothers, everybody. That's the lesson for the week. Even those relationships that you're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Those
Oh,
are
yeah.
those are the opportunities to know yourself.
Those are our teachers.
Mhm. Our greatest gifts.
Yep.
Ah, and there we have it. It's 1:30 already. Great to have all of you here. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I hope you join me next week. I mentioned earlier, I will not be facilitating on October 20th because I will be in Ithaca, New York, enjoying the fall foliage. So I will not be facilitating, so we will all be off that week, although I will still be doing my lessons. I do post them every day in the my Course in Miracles, Living a Course in Miracles Facebook group. If you're on Facebook and you want to join that, just I think it's on the emails that I send out to, maybe. If not, I'll try to put it on the email this time when I send out the replays. But it's Living a Course in Miracles. I also post when I'm not going to be live. And I always welcome everyone to post in that group if you have questions, if you want to comment, if you want to talk about anything or share anything. Most people don't. But if you want to, it's free for you to do that. I would love to communicate. It's a private group, so we don't have a lot of people in there who are saying things that aren't kind. It's just a very loving, supportive community. So it's nice to be supported like that. I know some of the other Facebook Course in Miracles groups can be a little a bit much.
Can I make a comment on on the section you just read?
Absolutely.
A quick comment is that at the end of the first paragraph, the sentence says, true perception is the basis for knowledge, but knowing is the affirmation of truth and beyond all perceptions. And I wrote the word certainty. And then later on in the section, certainty is used 6 times. They use the word certainty. So the reason that I wrote that was because I heard another teacher, Andrew Cohen, in some of his teachings saying that the obstacle to enlightenment is doubt. So certainty.
Oh, there you go. Certainty. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, Marilyn. I love it. Yeah.
So hopefully you're going to have peak colors on the 20th. Usually that's when it peaks around here.
Yeah. It'll just be nice to be
Mid-October.
up there in my hometown for a little bit. But I love where I live now here in Florida. I'm in Northeast Florida, for those of you who don't know where I am. And I'm in northern St. Augustine. Cynthia lives right in my development too. So nice to have her here. I know you guys are in Tallahassee, which is on the other side. It'd be so nice to meet up with you guys at some point in person. So maybe we'll put that on a to-do list. It'd be fun. Fun little maybe get together at some point within
A
the illusion.
picnic somewhere in the middle.
Yes, that'd be great too. Yeah, I love that. I love that. So yes, great to see you guys, and hopefully you'll all join next Monday. We do get on at 12 o'clock if anybody wants to join us at noon for a little get to know each other, share what's happening in our illusory world or things that are coming up for us. All right, guys. Great
Thank
to
you,
see you.
Terry.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
See you
you.
next week.
Thank you, everyone.
All right,
Thank you.
bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank